Enter the eerie world of echoes in the dark, where malevolent spirits and ancient curses lurk in every shadow. Can you survive the darkness? James was thrilled when his professor asked him to house sit for the summer. The professor's home was an old, sprawling mansion located in the countryside, far from the noise and bustle of the city. It was the perfect place for James to focus on his studies and enjoy some peace and quiet. The house was filled with antiques and strange artifacts from the professor's travels. It had a certain charm, though James found it a bit eerie at times. He settled in, unpacking his belongings and exploring the rooms. The professor had warned him about the basement, advising him to stay away from it due to its dangerous, unfinished state. The first few nights were uneventful, but soon, James began to notice strange things happening around the house. He would hear whispers and footsteps at night, as if someone were walking through the halls. He saw fleeting shadows from the corner of his eye, but whenever he turned to look, there was nothing there. James dismissed these occurrences as his imagination playing tricks on him. After all, the house was old, and old houses made noises. But as the days went by, the incidents became more frequent and harder to ignore. One night, James woke up to the sound of a door creaking open. He sat up in bed, heart pounding, and listened. The sound stopped, and the house was silent again. He got up to check, finding nothing out of place. But as he returned to his room, he saw a shadowy figure standing at the end of the hallway, watching him. The figure disappeared before he could react. Determined to find out what was going on, James began to investigate the house. He found old diaries and journals in the professor's study, detailing the family's history. The entries were filled with strange, cryptic references to rituals and dark magic. James discovered a locked room in the basement with strange symbols carved into the doorframe. He managed to pick the lock and entered the room, finding it filled with bizarre artifacts and more of the cryptic symbols. The air was thick with an oppressive, malevolent presence. As James delved deeper into the professor's research, he realized the family had been involved in occult practices for generations. They had performed rituals to summon and bind spirits, trapping them in the house. The spirits, angry and vengeful, were now lashing out at anyone who entered their domain. The more James uncovered, the more the spirit's activity intensified. He experienced vivid nightmares, waking up with scratches and bruises on his body. Objects would move on their own, and the whispers grew louder and more menacing. James knew he had to find a way to banish the spirits before they claimed him as their next victim. He scoured the professor's notes for any information on how to perform a cleansing ritual. The instructions were detailed and complex, but he was determined to succeed. One night, the spirits became more aggressive than ever. Doors slammed shut, windows shattered, and James felt an unseen force pushing and pulling at him. He knew he had to act quickly. Gathering the necessary items for the ritual, James descended into the basement. The air grew colder and the oppressive presence intensified. He could hear the spirits whispering, their voices filled with anger and malice. As James began the ritual, the spirits attacked. They lashed out with unseen hands, trying to stop him. He pushed through the pain and fear, reciting the incantations and performing the necessary actions. The room shook, and the symbols on the walls glowed with an eerie light. The spirits grew more desperate, their attacks becoming more violent. James felt himself weakening, but he knew he couldn't stop. With one final effort, he completed the ritual, a blinding light filling the room. The spirits screamed in rage and pain as they were banished from the house. The oppressive presence lifted, and the room fell silent. James collapsed, exhausted but relieved. He had succeeded in freeing the house from its tormentors. James left the house the next morning, his body and mind battered but intact. He contacted his professor, who returned to find his home cleansed of the spirits that had plagued it for so long. James vowed never to return to the mansion, the memories of his ordeal haunting him. He returned to his studies, but he could never forget the echoes in the dark and the spirits he had faced. Thank you for watching. If Echoes in the Dark kept you on the edge of your seat, give this video a thumbs up and leave a comment sharing your scariest moment. Make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon so you never miss a chilling story. Share this video with friends who love horror. Stay tuned for more spine-tingling content, and remember, sometimes the dark can be much more than it seems.